been a minute since I've seen everyone, but welcome today to episode 5 of Relationships Uncensored. I know that our episodes before discussed talking about relationships and how our relationship with our partner can become better as we learn certain tools to make our relationship thrive or know when to walk away. But Relationships Uncensored isn't just about your partnership with your person that you choose to have in life. It goes much broader than that. And so Relationships Uncensored covers your relationship with family, your children, your relationship with wealth, health, how you live your daily life, and the balance or imbalance that you have. And so we are venturing on for the month of July to talk about your relationship with your children and how you were brought up and how that actually integrates to who you are today. And some of us, it's a touchy subject, right? A lot of us don't want to hash out our past, but it is a necessity when you're trying to become the best version of you. And to avoid something or act as if it's not there could be detrimental and a roadblock to your breakthrough that's around the corner. And so today we're going to talk about your relationship with your parents, with your children growing up, and what are your circumstances, right? If you're one of those people that look at your relationship in a negative manner or place blame on certain things that you do or act, and you say, well, that's how I grew up. Can you relate? Or you might be in an argument and say, that's me, and if you don't like who I am, then just leave. But you are destroying your relationship that could be thriving if you just learn some key tips when you see yourself getting like that. As you learn and listen as we go through this series, we're actually going to have a special guest on later on in the next episode who overcame a whole bunch of obstacles from poverty to now becoming such an inspirational author and speaker. But also he talks about, and it's a tear-jerker story, let me tell you, you're going to need your Kleenex. He talks about the struggles that he had when he actually had his own children after he came out of poverty, and now he has 2 human beings to raise and figure out how we're going to navigate this new world for them, how they are not going to see poverty so much, they'll see struggle. But in America, as he came from South Africa to America, the struggles of becoming one with his wife and raising their children and how that looks like, and what kind of things he put on his children that he may have some regrets now. You know, his adult children have become very successful, but that was at a price. And so he's going to be our special guest in the next episode. And I can't wait for you to hear it because it's going to be relatable to so many of us who push our children to be more than what we were, to be and have more than what we had. And it comes at a price. I'm not saying that it's wrong to push your children, but I'm going to share my story of my children growing, well, when I grew up, and then I'm going to share my children as I raised them, and then to today, and the struggles that I faced, the fears that I faced, and now the outcome as a mom who now gets to see and reap the benefits of all the successes that they've had. And don't get me wrong, there are tons of pitfalls. There's tons of struggles. There were tons of navigating through certain issues that we just didn't want to even touch because they were emotional. They brought pain to the surface. They ripped off the band aid of an old wound. And sometimes it's easier just to say, forget it. It's all right. It's all good. I'm good. I don't need to talk about it. In reality, you have just closed the lid on such a wonderful life that you can have if you just take the time to dissect it, love on the person that it happened with, and move on. So, I'm going to share a little bit about my story. Coach Cindy Soto, I'm here in Sacramento, California. I am a mom of 4 beautiful children, and I had 3 incredible stepchildren who I got the pleasure of raising in one household from the age of 5, which was the littlest, and at the time I think it was 15. So we had everybody in between, 7 kids. And there were certain sacrifices that me and my ex-husband had to endure in order for our children to feel welcome, to not feel neglected, to feel like they were a part of the family, that they were not just seen, but they were heard. And I know that's going to touch on a lot of people right now because the mentality that a lot of people have is they're kids. They just need to be seen. They don't need to be heard. They don't have a voice. And that can't be farther from the truth. Giving your children a voice to express what they're feeling is crucial to them having an emotional wellness approach to their future. And it's super important for us to get out of that mindset that our kids don't need to be heard in the household. It should be a joint effort, right? We're teaching communication. How do we communicate with our children effectively? How do we set the boundary that I am the parent, but you do have a voice? I will hear you. That's super important. It doesn't mean that you're agreeing with whatever they said. Let me give you an example. They just got an F on a paper and they have a cell phone. All our kids have cell phones nowadays, right? And you tell them you're grounded for the year. Some of us go to extremes like that because we're so angry that, you know what, they got an F on the paper, but you just saw them playing Xbox the night before. So obviously their priorities weren't straight. Well, that is true. However, was the boundary set in our household? Did you set a boundary that, okay, let's look at a list of what's due this week or tomorrow, and let's see how we can plan effectively so that you can have some Xbox time and you can have your work done. Now, me growing up and, raising my children, I didn't necessarily do that, but I did have them do their homework on a regular basis before they can go out and do whatever it was. So, I live and learn. Coach Cindy's not perfect. I don't claim to be, but none of us are. None of us are. We are given tools to teach our children the best that we can with what we have. And there's no fault to that. And any of our children that are coming up are going to realize that, and they may not realize it now, but as they get into adult life, as they have their own children, they're going to realize, like, wow, yeah, mom did do this, or dad did do that, or he was hard on us, but I see why. And it's okay. It's going to be a delayed applause for you. That's okay. Just know that you are doing the best that you can in this season of life. Now, it may change. You may get remarried and you have your partner to help out in the household. That's just a bonus, right? Or things may change where you can afford a nanny to help take some of that burden off, clean the house while you're at work, or tend to the kids, do the homework piece, make sure that's all right. And then you can spend some TV time or some book time or just some playtime with your kids. But it's all setting boundaries and priorities of what is important to you. And if you can't afford things like that now, that's okay. there's ways to work around it, such as I can't afford a cook, I can't afford a nanny, and I definitely can't afford to hire somebody to take my kids all around to every sport they need to be at or take them to school in the morning. So what do? I go ahead and I spend that 30 minutes uninterrupted time from the house to school, and I drop them off at school. Talk to them, ask them about what's their when excitement for the day. What are they looking forward to at school today? Might even be, don't be surprised. They might say, well, I look forward to lunch because it means half of my day's over and you packed me a good lunch, or they're having nachos at school today, or whatever. Who cares? The littlest things is the biggest things because you communicated with your kids. You had one-on-one time. You're building that foundation of communication with them. So super important. And then after school, are you not able to be there after school for them? What are they doing? Are they, running off to friend's house after school? Do you not know what they do after school? Are you leaving them in limbo until you get home, hoping that they're not getting in trouble? Are you going to work and telling them during the summer, right? We all have issues during the summer because I know for me, summer was a big thing. Our kids want to get out and do stuff. Well, funds are tight, especially COVID. They're eating anything and everything under the sun in your refrigerator. And after COVID, we all know inflation and groceries and how much that costs, right? And so boundaries have to be set in motion before we get to these stages of, summer, school time, and things of that nature. So we're all on the same page, and that comes with communication. So building that communication with your kids in advance is important. And say you forget it, right? And you're in the moment and you're like, I forgot to tell them. I didn't do what Coach Cindy said. I didn't map it out for the week because I was so exhausted that I just told them, everybody take a shower and go to bed. That's okay. Take a deep breath. Woosah. It's going to be okay. We don't have to figure it all out now. We don't have to have a spotless clean home, do we? I mean, you have to pick and choose your battles and what is worth putting your effort into. And if I could reverse time, I would take away having to be the perfect mom, the perfect stepmom, the perfect G-ma, and I would just spend my time on memories, on experiences. That's what's most important because you can never take away the experience of what somebody felt, thought, enjoyed, laughter, memories. You can't take that away. They're always going to be there. But your house is always going to get dirty if not the next day, the next hour, because somebody's going to put a dish in the sink. There's going to be toys on the floor. It's just a never-ending cycle. So exit the rat race of stress and anxiety and exit the rat race of being the perfect parent. There is no such thing. You will never achieve perfect parent success. I said it. You cannot be the perfect parent. You may strive to be, and that's great. But there's no deep definition of a perfect parent. It's doing the best that you have with what you have in the moment that you're in. And you may have tools today that catapult you into the next season, but then you're at a standstill. Okay, now my child is no longer 1 to 5 years old. Now we're in this next season. How do I navigate school? How do I navigate this homework that I don't even know what my kindergartner's bringing home because they're bringing home stuff I covered in 2nd and 3rd grade? Same with the high schoolers. How do I navigate that? It's different seasons. You're going to have to go back to the toolbox and pick up the next set of tools to take you through the next season. And that's all to align with raising children. Nobody has a full toolbox to start with. And so you have to understand, if you let go of that stress and that imposter syndrome of being the perfect parent, you are going to have such a beautiful, healthy, happy life and happy home that you can raise your children in and have a successful partnership with your partner while doing it. And so it all goes hand in hand. And that's why in Relationships Uncensored, we're talking about the whole circle of life, of family, the value that we put on certain things, where we can move some value from one pie of the chart to another piece that doesn't maybe hold so much weight. And you're going to learn those traits, and I'm going to teach you how you can move around things without neglecting anyone to be a happier person first for you, but then it's going to spill over to your family, to your kids, to your spouse, to your girlfriend, boyfriend. And so growing up, I had lived with both my mother and father at one time. They split up, and I was living with my mom, visiting my dad. And so the structure was two separate structures, right? So I had my mom who would pick me up from school, and I would try to ditch her, like, oh God, she's there right out front. Why does she have to, be right out front with that green station wagon? Anybody know that? Anybody picked up on that station wagon before from school? That was me. I was dying. I would come out of class and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's right in front. How did she get that parking space? So I would have to go over there. Sometimes I would walk past like I didn't see her and hide behind other students that were walking. And I would make it as far as the corner and she would spot me. But I just, sometimes, that structure that we're given, that she's trying to provide, making sure I don't get in trouble after school, is best for us. But we can't see it then. We're just a kid, right? We want to hang out. We want to, go with our friends and walk home with our friends like everybody else. Not everybody else's parents could say that they could pick their kids up from school. My mom did. And I thank her for that now, because it gave me that foundation of how to stay out of trouble, not want to get into trouble, and listen, right? And there was consequences. So I had boundaries set very early in life. Even with my dad, when as a teenager, I went to live with my father, and there was boundaries put in place to avoid getting into trouble. And every household is different. So I want you to sit back after you watch this and think, what boundaries do I have in place? Do I have any boundaries in place? And if I don't, what do I need to do now? Because if you don't have any boundaries in place for your kids, they need them. They thrive off of them. But if you don't have them, they are going to be so distant. They're going to be in their own world, either in their room, on their computer, Xbox, whatever they're doing. But they're also going to not understand the value of getting a whole, healthy lifestyle. And that's what we as parents have to understand, is we need to provide them with it, protect them with it, and make sure we give them everything in the toolbox as children in each season of their life, that they have that toolbox going with them as well. So if you have not subscribed to Relationships Uncensored on YouTube, subscribe. You don't want to miss this month at all. We are going to be having so many nuggets come through on parenting, setting boundaries, how to enforce boundaries without disrupting the household. But first and foremost, we're going to go over the first boundary. I know that you guys want something to take with you, and this is what you can start doing as of today. I want you guys to get home, have your dinner. And this is one thing that me and my ex-husband cherish so much, is that we had our round table, no matter what. And we sat at the table with all 9 of us. Sometimes there was 8 because one child had something going on, but we would all sit around the table and we would go over a highlight and a low light of our day. What is that doing? Why do I want to know the low light, right? That's the negative. No, I want to know what happened in your day. You just now opened the communication. Do you know how excited our kids got to know that dinner time was they get to share something? Maybe that didn't go so good, but also they got to share the highlight. That was the highlight of their day that made them the most happiest. And it can be from school. It could be something that helping another person. It could be somebody that did something for them, whatever. But it was theirs to share. And we all listened. They got their own time to speak and to talk to the family about what their highlight and low light was. And so the one key that I'll give you with this low light highlight is, first of all, mom and dad start with their highlight, low light. And so the low light is, it could be anything from, a kid spilled milk on me at lunchtime. And I got so embarrassed, I walked out of there, went to the bathroom, and I don't want to go to lunch anymore. Okay. We offer as parents just one tip of advice is, honey, did he do it on accident or did he do it on purpose? Well, most of the times it was accident, right? So how can you better do that next time? What would you do differently next time? And then if he didn't know, if the child didn't know, we would say, how about this? I'm sure that child was just as embarrassed for spilling his milk on you. But being empathetic to his embarrassment also, you could say, it's okay. I know that you didn't mean to do it. I'm just going to go to the bathroom and wash off. You have taken the power back of that embarrassment. You've shown your child how they can better handle that situation in the future. And you move on. Okay, great. We got your low light out of the way. What was your highlight of the day? Well, Mom, you know what? After that happened, it was towards the end of the day, he actually came back and apologized and said he was so sorry and that he wanted to bring me a pair of pants to replace them tomorrow. And I told him, no, it's okay. It'll wash off. But see how a low light turned into a highlight? And even if his positive highlight was something different, we address the low light and how we better can help them in the future. So that's my one tip for you guys. And trying that this week, I want you to try to have dinner with everyone. Whether it's you guys sit at the dinner table or you're sitting around in the living room with your tables, that fold up tables, I don't care. But be together, be present, but don't turn on the TV. That's number one rule. And make sure everybody is facing each other, either in a circle or where you can go around and see everybody. And spend that quality time. And I guarantee you, your communication has now just went to another level by spending that one-on-one time with each other, communicating things to each other. That now has just lifted the lid of your communication with your kids. Simple, so easy to do, but so hard not to do. And we can make excuses, but I look forward to hearing your results. Remember, you can always email me, askcindysoto@gmail.com. Go to mefirstnow.com to send me a message. I will read it on air if I can. If we get too many, I will individually respond back to you. But you can also set up a coaching call, one coaching call, and you don't have to set up a series of calls. We can just chat. Tell me about your specific situation and we could tailor it to you. So mefirstnow.com to check out my healing and holistic approach to changing you and getting out of the rat race that you are currently in. And if you don't want to be in it, how to get out. See See you soon. And remember, go subscribe on my YouTube so that you get all of the episodes and you don't miss one at Relationships Uncensored. And we'll see you next time with our special guest. Bye-bye.